So in this short video, we're going to be looking at total quality management. Now, the first thing that we need to think about before we talk about TQM is to think about quality. And quality is the totality of features and characteristics of a product or service that bears on its ability to satisfy stated or implied needs. Now, when we think about total quality management, this is the modern strategic approach to quality delivery, and TQM, if it should be driven from the top of the organization and then filtered down in order to instill what exactly is required and why and its importance. And it must be part of the organization customer driven strategy. Some of the characteristics of TQM, it works throughout the organization, lays emphasis on workers being responsible for their own quality and tries to get things right the first time rather than rectifying defects later, saving costs, time and money in the bottom line. The implications of quality, well, it can impact upon the company's reputation in terms of the perception of new products, the employment practices and supplier relations. And in today's society with social media, and no one can hide, this is very, very important in terms of how people are treating their customers, and all of these go towards meeting the customer's needs. If you've got an Indian factory supplying clothes to Primark or Marks and Spencers, which have been in the past, and then you're employing children, or the factory crumbles and kills many people, it's not really going to make people buying the products from your company feel satisfied knowing that they're buying cheap products, but your reputation of your company is not up to what it should be because of your practices. It can have the reduced risk in terms of product liability and the global implications in terms of improved ability to compete because you're meeting consumers' needs around the world. So there are two ways that you can improve upon profit, and that is to review sales gains by improved response, by flexible pricing, by improved reputation, or you can reduce costs in your business, to have increased productivity, lower rework and scrap costs, and lower warranty costs, which all can impact upon the quality and therefore impact on the overall profits and the bottom line of the business. So total quality management is a continuous process that works best when the managers are also good leaders. So TQM is a particular process that empowers all levels of employees to work in groups to establish, guest service expectations and determine the best way to meet or exceed those expectations. And when we look at TQM, well, predominantly there are 7 main tools of TQM, or 7 main concepts, and these can include continuous improvement, Six Sigma, employee empowerment, benchmarking, just-in-time, Taguchi concepts, and the knowledge of TQM tools, which we're going to cover briefly. So think about continuous improvement. Continuous improvement, there are basically 3 types of levels of continuous improvement. Level 1, where you try and look at the organization and say what needs to be improved and can we improve that specific issue or problem. Level 2 is saying, well, let's have groups of people who are then empowered to look at the organization and say these are the areas of improvement that we need. And level 3 is saying, well, here are the mission, aims and objectives. Well, let's have these groups of people trying to sort out the problems and issues, or to make things more efficient and effective in line with the organization's aims and objectives. Then we have the Sherwood's model of continuous improvement, which is planning, doing, testing the plan, 3, checking it, is the plan working, and 4, acting and then implementing, and then going through the whole process again to continually improve all the time. If we look at Six Sigma, which is the second concept, Six Sigma is basically saying how can we reduce the amount of defects that we produce in the business. And Six Sigma is a process in which 99.9997% of products will be free of defects, and only 3.4 defects per million opportunities will exist. Therefore, you're getting the majority of things done right the first time, rather than having to go back and rework things and have defects or give refunds and so on and so forth. So you're saving the company money in the long term. Now, with the Six Sigma, there are basically a certain approach, and this approach includes defining the critical outputs and identifying the gaps for improvement, and then to measure the work and collect the process data, to analyze the data, to improve the process, and then to control the new process to make sure that the new performance is maintained. If we look at TQM in terms of empowerment, well, this is about effective leaders results in empowerment of employees who are open to concepts and problems, and so they resolve them more efficiently. They take responsibility for the actions and they accept the authority to make these decisions, because the management can't do it all, and really it's the employees who are carrying out these processes day in day out that need to take power of this and need to take control of this and need to improve these themselves, because the managers can't do it all themselves. If we think about employee empowerment, this requires involving employees in the product process and improvements. 85% of quality problems are due to processes and materials. So what techniques can be used to involve employees? You can build communication networks and include employees. You can develop open, supportive supervisors, more responsibility to employees, build and maintain a high moral organization, and create formal team structures. Benchmarking is selecting the best practice to use as a standard for performance. Determine what to benchmark. From our benchmark team, I identify benchmarking partners, collect and analyze benchmarking information, and take action to match or exceed the benchmark. Then we have just in time. Just in time was really brought out in the manufacturing car industries. And we can see this where they said that we will have the suppliers bringing in their suppliers and component parts into the factory at the right time that the manufacturing company wanted these, and therefore they would go straight onto the production line to build a car. So that basically meant that you would have no warehousing staff, no holding of materials, no um, uh, old and outdated stock, less damages which can be controlled, and they worked with their suppliers so that basically, because they didn't have all these other level and different tiers of costs, they could reduce their costs by about 1/3 in comparison to the other industry standards of other manufacturers who were doing it with warehousing and inventory and stock. We've got the Takeuchi concepts, and this includes quality robustness, focusing on quality loss function, and also the targeted orientated quality. And then the last of the 7 concepts in terms of total quality management are the use of, and to realize these tools exist, because not many people use these tools, different tools for total quality management. And the tools can be split into 3 different areas in terms of tools for generating ideas, tools for organizing data, and tools for identifying problems. So ideas, organizing data, and then identifying problem. So here we can see a check sheet tool method for recording data. We can see a scatter diagram which can be used as well to look at problems. And we can use a cause and effect diagram to identify process elements, causes that might affect an outcome of a process or practice or product. We have tools for perpetual charts to graph to identify and plot problems or defects in descending order or frequency. And we have flowcharts to determine the best way and the best starts and the best process in incorporating critical path analysis and calculations and formulas in order to adopt the right process in the least amount of time and the most efficient way. We have historical distribution showing the frequency occurrences of a variable and the standard deviation, and the average and the standard deviation from the average, and how much you can want to deviate from that average, if it's 5%, 10%, and how many defects are outside that percentage. And then we also have statistical processes, control charts, which over time and horizontal axis to plot values of a statistical process to see exactly what is happening. So if we look at quality and total quality management and the need for it, well, the need for it is ideally to meet customers' needs. And to meet customers' needs, because you want to make sure that your company is a mutually satisfying exchange at a profit in the long term, which means that you need to be making profit. In order to make profit, you need to reduce the defects, you need to maximize your profits, and you can reduce the defects in the company by continuous improvement, by Six Sigma, by employee empowerment, by benchmarking, by just in time, by Taguchi concepts, and the use of total quality management tools in terms of identifying problems, in terms of organizing data, and in terms of solving issues. So these tools should be used to maximize the profit in the company, so then that profit could be reinvested back into research, into new product development, into new design, in terms of meet a customer's needs, and also to help you compete from a global perspective.